Hey everyone, welcome back. Today's discussion dives into a fascinating, albeit somewhat grim, look at the economic history of Congo, Kinshasa. We'll be examining a declassified CIA intelligence memorandum from June 1968, analyzing the country's economic trajectory since independence. Ready to explore the ups and downs?
Absolutely. This document paints a picture of a nation with immense potential, tragically hampered by a confluence of internal and external factors. It's a story of both remarkable initial prosperity and a subsequent devastating decline.
So let's start at the beginning. The memo describes Congo as having one of the most advanced economies in sub-Saharan Africa at independence. What were the key elements of this seemingly robust economic foundation?
The Belgian colonial administration had built a surprisingly sophisticated infrastructure. Think efficient transportation networks, thriving agriculture, and a booming mining sector, particularly copper. They'd invested heavily, creating a well-integrated system. However, this system was critically dependent on Belgian expertise.
That dependence on external expertise sounds like a ticking time bomb. What happened when independence arrived?
The immediate aftermath of independence was chaotic. Tens of thousands of Belgians left, taking their crucial skills with them. This led to a near total collapse of the administrative and economic systems. Tribal conflicts and widespread insecurity further exacerbated the situation.
The memo mentions $1 billion in foreign aid. Did that help mitigate the damage?
The aid certainly prevented a complete economic collapse, but it mostly served as a band-aid, not a cure. Much of it went towards maintaining existing levels of activity rather than fostering genuine development. The underlying problems of lack of skilled labor and political instability remained.
The copper mining industry seems to have been a bright spot amidst the turmoil. How significant was its role?
Incredibly significant. By 1966, it accounted for about 70% of exports and 50% of government revenue. It essentially propped up the entire economy, highlighting the country's over-reliance on a single sector.
The memo highlights the deterioration of the transport network. How did that impact the economy?
Catastrophically, the Congo is geographically vast, with its productive regions scattered across the country. The breakdown of the transport system, roads, railways, and rivers, severely hampered the movement of goods, crippling both internal trade and exports.
And what about agriculture? How did that sector fare?
Agricultural production, especially cash crops for export, plummeted. The departure of Belgian expertise and the disruption caused by conflict decimated output. The memo points to a significant drop in cotton, rice, and corn production.
The memo also discusses inflation and the impact of an artificially high exchange rate. Can you elaborate on that?
The combination of large budget deficits and declining production fueled rampant inflation. The overvalued exchange rate made exports less competitive and imports artificially cheap, leading to a trade imbalance and further economic woes. Smuggling became rampant.
So what was the overall assessment of the Congo's economic prospects in 1968?
The memo paints a rather bleak picture. It predicted moderate economic deterioration in the coming years, citing the persistent lack of skilled labor and the unlikelihood of receiving sufficient aid to address the fundamental issues.
The memo mentions a lack of Congolese in upper echelons of government and business. Was this a significant factor in the economic decline?
Absolutely. The absence of Congolese with the necessary managerial and technical skills created a huge void when the Belgians left. The sudden transfer of power without adequate training or preparation was a recipe for disaster.
Looking back, what are some of the key lessons we can learn from the Congo's experience?
The importance of sustainable development, diversification of the economy, and the crucial role of education and training in building a strong and resilient nation. Over-reliance on a single sector or external expertise can be incredibly dangerous.
The memo highlights the impact of political instability. How much of a role did that play?
A massive one. The constant conflicts and rebellions created an environment of insecurity that discouraged investment, disrupted production, and destroyed infrastructure. Stability is a prerequisite for economic growth.
This has been a really insightful discussion into the complex economic history of Congo, Kinshasa. Thank you for shedding light on this important yet often overlooked topic.